like to welcome you on this REThink webinar, which is a series run by Develor. And now we are talking about gamification and game methods. Somehow this is extremely engaging topic because we have a record number of people registered, because we have 472 people registered. Already 173 people on the call, more are coming. I hope that it stops because our Zoom limit is 300, but at least you were fast enough to be in. So let's go into the topic of gamification and game methods in corporate learning. This is actually extremely close to our heart. We in Develor believe that gamification and story-based learning is the way to go. If I come to my story, it was clear to me as of 2011, where we were facing the challenge of developing like advanced leaders. So talking about board members or board -1 members, it's extremely difficult to provide them training. And classical training typically don't work. So we were facing a challenge how to provide them a great learning experience, even though those are people who are managing thousands of people and have extreme hands-on practice in people management and in people development. And at that moment, I got inspiration from one of my friends who participates a training in London, and it was based on William Shakespeare game, and it was story-based training. And at that moment, we said that it's a good inspiration and that we could also bring stories and gamification into the corporate development. And we have a lot of products which are linked to story-based trainings or game-based trainings or case-led trainings or its combinations. Some of the famous brands of Develor is like leadership inspired by Amundsen, adaptive leadership about Mars, or agile mindset New Cairo. So many of you maybe participated on the training. So story and game-based learning is at the heart of our development. Now, what you can expect throughout this call is actually 4 major steps. So we are now in the step number 1, where I am welcoming you. My name is Martin, and I lead Develor in Czech and Slovak Republic. And I also have a surprise guest who will have a short speech about the importance of story and game-based in adult learning. Plus, we have a keynote presentation from Bartek Wrzosek. Bartek is our managing director in Poland, and he's originally game designer. We have an interview with Hanna Kamenista, who is, and she's coming from DXC, which you might know as HP Business Enterprise. And they are big fan of story and game-based trainings. And we'll be interviewing Hanna, representing the client, and also Bartek, on the side of the trainer. And then we go to 3 breakout rooms where we'll be working in smaller number of people, and you will have better chance to interact with us. So my first question to our surprise secret guest is, why is story and game-based learning important to drive educational impact in adult development? And I would like to welcome on the floor gentleman who you never met, but who you actually might know. He is a famous figure, Roald Amundsen, and he is a inspiration hero to one of our program, which is called Leadership Inspired by Amundsen. And I would like to give the word to him to explain us his perspective why stories and game-based learning is important in adult development. And after all, you will have the same chance to think yourself why it's important. So think about your answer.
Story and game-based learning is crucial for driving educational impact in adult development due to several reasons. First, it enhances engagement and motivation by presenting content in an immersive and interactive format, making the learning experience enjoyable and stimulating. Adults are more likely to be motivated to learn when they can actively participate in stories or games. Second, story and game-based approaches provide a meaningful context for adult learners. By relating educational content to real-world scenarios and challenges, they can see the practical relevance and applicability of what they are learning. This promotes a deeper understanding and encourages adults to apply their knowledge and skills in their personal and professional lives. Third, story and game-based learning capitalize on the power of storytelling to create emotional connections. Stories evoke emotions and resonate with adults, making the learning experience more memorable and impactful. Emotionally engaged learners are more likely to retain information and transfer their learning to new situations. Lastly, story and game-based learning promote active learning and critical thinking. Adults can actively participate in decision-making, problem-solving, and complex scenarios within the context of a story or game. This fosters higher-order thinking skills and helps adults develop problem-solving strategies that they can use in their everyday lives.
Thank you very much to our surprise guest, Roald Amundsen. He is a hero of our story and game-based training leadership inspired by Amundsen. It was really a pleasure having you here. So if I just repeat some of his key messages, he believes that it's important to utilize story and game-based learning to drive engagement and motivation, to bring meaningful context for the adult learners, that we can capitalize on the power of storytelling, and that we can bring in the active learning and critical thinking. Now, what is your opinion? Why do you believe it is important to incorporate story and game-based learning into adult development? And please share your opinion by scanning this QR code. And if you have problems to scan it, you can also go to menti.com and add there the voting code. So why do you believe that story and game-based learning is important to drive educational impact in adult development? We heard our secret surprise guest, Roald Amundsen. But what is your opinion? Good, so we already have many opinions. Let me share it. I think the number one word in the middle is engagement. So we believe it's important in order to engage people, and we agree. So we really drive engagement with story and game-based learning. It's motivational, it's fun, but it's also mindset forming. It makes things memorable, and it brings real experience to people. I would say this type of development is also a team building type of development, because it's giving teams and leaders opportunities to see them in psychological safe environment where it's really exciting to be developed. It's funny. We can bring scenarios close to life, but in safe type of learning, and it's engaging. Yes. So those are the main reasons why we believe this is the way to go. And we can also see it in the interest that also the corporate world believes that this is the way to go. What I would like to do is I would like to welcome another guest. Now it's not a surprise guest. who will be talking about life hacks and how the game and learning is hacking the brain. So please welcome on the stage Mr. Bartek Wrzosek. Bartek, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you especially for giving me, as always, a challenge, because speaking up after Roald Amundsen, it's not so easy, but I will try to do my best. So once again, welcome. What I would like to speak today is because I'm observing that we have a lot of people here. Probably most of us are the fans of games, so that's why we are here. We are interested how to use games in our corporate learning processes. But I also know from my experience that there are a lot of people who are more skeptical about using games in the learning processes. So my idea is today to give you more scientific proofs that it really works, because we agreed on this beautiful picture that it's more engaging, more fun, but why? So I would like to give you some reasons. Some new researchers, they prove that it really works. First of all, I would like to bring the idea which is known from the past. You could see the beautiful picture who is representing the idea called Homo ludens, so man the player. It was created by Dutch historian Johan Hutzig, who just said that people have tendency to make everything a play. And it's also supported by the new scientists that the brain research tells that when the fun stops, and also the learning often stops. And based on that, I would like to elaborate a little bit more about some basic words. They are important to understand the whole story about the games in learning better. So first of all, we need to know the difference between gamification and game-based learning. So first word, which is gamification, basically is very simple, like explanation, like it's using single elements. They are typical for the games for the purpose of other processes. Like, for example, you could observe using gamification in marketing. But also in learning is adding some extra elements. They are typical for the games to make the training or the process more engaging, like adding extra badges or symbols. People could collect some points, or adding ranking. So you could see your progress. You could see how you are in the competition with each other. But this is only the part of the story, because here we have some elements. Very basic example of that could be like, I am the trainer. I am delivering a training and I'm praising every single participant, giving them golden coins or something they could collect during the whole training. But it's not the game itself. I could prize them, for example, for participation in the discussions and this kind of activities, but this is not the game itself. But the second word you have there, the game-based learning, sometimes called also serious games or learning games. It's about the situation where the game itself has a purpose of is created for the purpose of learning. So people are playing the game during the training, and they need to this game could give them two targets, to purpose, to things they need to accomplish. First of all is the goal of the game, like reaching some result at the end, and the second one is the learning goal. So the learning goal could be like know how to work in the changing environment, or how to behave in the specific situation. So at the end, the goal of the learning should be also accomplished. So in this case, you see that we have two different situations, two different ways we could approach and use the games in our trainings. Simple one like gamification, and the more complex one is the game-based learning. So based on that, I would like to show you also some new researchers, because probably you are familiar with the with the newly researchers. They show that we have so-called neurotransmitters. The neurotransmitters, or hormones, depends how to call them, but they are influencing our brain and our body. This guy I'm presenting at the beginning, Brian Knudson from Stanford University, did a lot of research. They proved that because we could just drive the direct connection between the simulation of neutral circuits and the gameplay, is a key step to unlocking the potential of game-based tools. And these tools are inspiring behaviors and also improving our health. So how it works in detail. So now I would like to go through 5 different neurotransmitters and give you some very specific examples how you could implement that idea in your trainings or in your exercises during the training. So first of all, and the first neurotransmitter is dopamine. Usually dopamine is driving force of learning associations and releases brain loads, but it happens when we are surprised. That's why people love plot twists, when something is changing. And if we are just projecting a game, it's very important to have this kind of elements embedded into our game. The dramatic plot twists give them possibility to be thrilled. The audience also has more memories connected with the game if they are receiving a kind of 360 or 180 degrees twist. How we are using this in our games, for example, in Develor. Here I could show you one of the potential games we created. In this scenario, we have 3 groups. They are competing on the surface of the planet. At the beginning, they try to find the resources, and they try to dig for these resources and collect at the end some specific ones. At the beginning, we are just giving them so-called winning conditions. So they need to collect some specific number of resources they will collect during the game. But the plot twist we embedded into the game is during the game, after 4 rounds, because the whole game is from six rounds, they are receiving information that, guys, there is something more on the surface of the planet, and they are very different structures. Difficult to know what's happening with those structures, but after that they are receiving information that, okay, guys, now you have an ultimate goal. Without reaching this ultimate goal for every single team, you will fail in the game. So they need to change the thinking from the competition to the co-opetition. And this is also an unexpected situation. So they need to start to collaborate more with each other than to compete. So this is something that makes, for example, this game and the dopamine boost easier. The second one is oxytocin. This hormone mostly forge connections with everyone we meet. And this is interesting that they don't even have to be real people. So if you are in the game, could be a simulation or could be another type of role-playing game, you are meeting some persons, some characters. Even they don't exist, you know it because it was created for the purpose of game. you feel some connection with the with this persons, and that's why people love stories. That's why people love stories. They would like to feel the emotions. They remember the stories better than list of unconnected facts, for example. And how we are using that in our trainings. Martin mentioned at the beginning our great program, Leadership by Amundsen. Here we have a story, the competition between two famous explorers, Amundsen and Scott. And during the training, people are following the story of those two gentlemen. We have also videos, they are showing how they are progressing in the journeys. It's very easy to feel the connection between ourselves, our players, our participants on the training, and those guys, and following the story till the end. So they're reaching the South Pole, but Amundsen, and also reaching the South Pole by Scott. And they could draw the conclusions, but I just I would like to show you that the usage of stories during the game-based learning is very important and supporting engagement and learning because of the oxytocin. What else? It was also very interesting for me, like how people like the game characters. Here you could see the screen from and also the short movie from our simulation. This simulation is completely asynchronic, so people could play the game individually without others. And we developed the version of this game for the purpose of the learning initiative for one of our clients. And a lot of managers went through this simulation, and they liked very much the characters. We received the feedback about the guys. They are playing the roles of the subordinates in the simulation. And the interesting fact was that at the end, after the process, we received another request from this company to develop another chapter, another training based on the simulation, also the same engine. And they asked us to keep the same characters because the participants love them and they would like to know what is happening with them. So like the second sequel of the game. So that was something also nice. So what next? The next hormone, the next neurotransmitter is serotonin. Serotonin levels are the difference between feeling anxious and unhappy, or balanced and content. Our serotonin levels are affected by how important we feel. So this being important, is very important for us to have this hormone in our brain, in our body, and this is the part of the reason that people love gaming so much, because the games give them possibility to feel significant. They could complete something, they could achieve something, and it's also a very interesting game mechanic that we put the participant in the center of the world, so they feel important. They could be like, for example, explorers like Amundsen. They could explore Mars, being on the Mars and trying to compete there or build something there, and giving people chance to feel significant is opportunity we should use in our games, designing our games. What we did in one of our products, we created a game based on the true story. Probably all of us remember the situation when the terrorist attacks came to the World Trade Center. And this game we created was based on this situation, because in very small town in Newfoundland, Canada, called Gander, the people, the inhabitants of this small city experienced something unique. The fact was that when the situation in the World Trade Center started, the presidents of the almost all countries decided and put the order to the airports that every single airplane should land as soon as possible. And in this city I mentioned at the beginning, 38 airplanes landed on the very small airport they have there. It was in total more than 6,000 passengers, and the population of the city was not more than 10,000. So they doubled the population in a very short time. And based on that, we created the game, which is a little bit similar because our participants are playing the role of the crisis teams in the small cities. They try to help as many planes as they could because of similar situation. There is a fog over Europe. This fog is damaging the airplane engine, so they need to help people, but they don't know how many of them will land in their cities they are representing. But connecting this with the importance and the feeling of being significant, people could feel significant because they are handling the real situation, and they are also not just like normal inhabitants of the island. They are in the role of the crisis teams, so they have decision right. They could help people. So this is also boosting this feeling of being and doing something which is meaningful, which is significant. So if you would like to know more about the real case, here is the title of the book, so you could find it in Amazon. Okay, so last but not least, we have also endorphins. They usually, we could boost them eating a chocolate, of course. This is the simple way. But in case of games, if you are achieving something in the game, you have this feeling of euphoria. If there is no achievement in the game, there is no fun. It's very important because when I was designing the games, sometimes I felt maybe it's too difficult. Maybe let's simplify the thing. Of course, simplicity is good, but if the game or the exercises in the game are too easy to the participants, then there is no fun, and connected with that, there is no learning. So we always try to make it a little bit harder for the participants. Should be possible to be done, of course, but if they wrestle for the victory a little bit, then it's better for this endorphins and the feeling we would like to have at the beginning, that people really remember. They feel very well after accomplishing the task. How we use that, for example, in the game I mentioned before, this connected with the airplanes, fog over Europe. At the beginning of the training, we are showing the participants that, okay, guys, at the end, if you reach 70% of points, they are possible to be reached, you just won the game. If less, then you failed. But we are adding also some extra stages, like levels. If you reach 85, then this is the great win. If you reach 90%, it's called epic win. Of course, we are doing this game internationally, so we know that we have a pool of the numbers, how usually companies and teams are ending the game, and this 90% is reserved for not more than 3% of the teams. So it's really, really high. But people could, if they just win, that's all right. But if they push a little bit harder, could achieve more. So using the stages levels also helps to make the achievement more memorable, more important. The last one I would like to raise your attention is cortisol. In case of cortisol, this is the stress hormone, so we know that, and always people did not learn anything because they are so stressed. High levels of cortisol force our brain to so-called survival mode. So we would like to survive. We are not hearing, learning anything. So using the good mood management is very important to make our learning experience better. And there are also researchers, for example, the research from the Texas International University, that show very precisely that games itself reduce depression and hostile feelings in players because of this mood management. So it's important that if we know that, we could help the participants to go through the training using games better than without it. How we use it and how to connect this also with the real training scenario. This is the question to you. You could answer in the chat. What is the most stressful part of the training? So which part is the most stressful from your experience, from your expertise? Exam maybe, and testing. I see also the post-test. Maybe these two chairs could be a little hint for you. Yes, or role plays, public speaking, exactly, feedback, role play. Okay, that was the idea I wanted to raise, because from my experience as a trainer, I know that the role plays are necessary to have really good training, to have real experience, to boost the behavior change. But it's always stressful sitting in front of the group, trying to do the role play. For example, I'm working a lot with the IT companies. In the IT companies, there is a lot of people who are more introverted than extroverted. So how to convince them, not only how to speak publicly, but how to be in the role play. And what was quite useful in one of our trainings in the field of communication and conflict management, we developed in Develor, we created the small cards, characters. You can see here some descriptions, and the trainings goes like this. People attend to the training. They are before the training, and the first task for them is to choose one character they like. You could see here, for example, some challenges they have. Each character has a challenge. So usually people pick those characters. They have similar challenges they have in the real life. But the trick is that I'm taking this character, but being, for example, more introverted person, during the whole training, I could a little hide myself behind the character. So I'm not forced to play myself, but it's easier for me to play another person like this Jovita or Igor, because of the fact that it's not a real me, but in fact, I'm learning what I need to learn and what I like to learn. And in this case, the role plays are far easier. In IT industry, I also observed that a lot of people from my audience are the players. They are playing in the real life, the role-playing games. So for them, being behind the character is something real, normal, easy one. So that's the trick you could use in the trainings, using cards, using characters to play this role plays easier. Okay, so at the end, two more things. When I was thinking about the huge difference or the biggest difference between traditional learning and games-based learning, what came to my mind is how we are, for example, teaching our children not to touch the hot stove. And the traditional learning or e-learnings is just telling this, not to touch the hot stove. But how many of you did it after such instruction? And in my opinion, the game-based learning gives us opportunity to experience how hot it is without being burned. So that's something I think we could raise here as a great metaphor or the difference. It's also an interesting fact that how how the playing games is resulting our brain capability. There is an interesting research I found about the research that was proving that playing games, even very long hours, increases our brain capability. What the researchers did, they gave possibility to play 15 hours a day during 5 weeks for the group of people, and after that they measured the capabilities. For me as a parent, of course, why should I give my children possibility to play so long? We are trying to limit that. It's typical approach, but what was unexpected in this research, when they evaluated after that period, the memory and attention span scored improved by 30%. So after this 5 weeks, 15 hours a day of play. So it's something interesting. So playing games keeps our brain fit. So that's important, and it's, I think, the good conclusion for everyone. So as a summary, I would like to leave you with the feeling that games are making our training and also our life better. So this is it from my side. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Wow, I knew I love it, but I did not know why. Now I finally understand that game and story-based trainings drives the happiness hormones, and it is fully legal across all the countries that are participating in this webinar. So thank you very much, Bartek, for this keynote speech and connecting gaming and story-based learnings to the hormones. Sometimes we are calling them happiness hormones, and explaining how it actually acts on our brain. Now, still, like to come back to business, because we in corporate world are not here only for happiness, but we are here because of results. And I will come back to the previous speech in the REThink HR webinar, which was delivered by Reka Gref, our head of learning experience. And she asked this question: is learning really happening on the training? And if you participate the previous REThink HR webinar, you probably remember this slide. And the focus was more on development journey rather than on development events. So, and the claim was that learning is not an event, it's an experience, and it's a long journey which starts with commitment of the people, great training, but also reinforcements and focus on implementation. And this is how we actually make the training perform. And I would like to connect this to the story and game-based learning. And I would like to show you a little bit how we are working at the beginning, so before the training, and also after the training have happened. So you can probably imagine that talking adaptive leadership via gamification of conquering Mars brings us a lot of opportunities, how to involve people and how to motivate them to kind of be in the program, and how to be committed to really go full speed. I will show you about 2 minutes video which serves us as an opening to the adaptive leadership mission to Mars story, just to demonstrate how appealing that case can be.
We had set out into the unknown. Explorers of a new world. I was part of the first mission.
Mission Control, we're looking at a red planet.
A new hope for humanity.
For as long as we've looked up at the night sky. Wonder. That is what we felt.
Creating a self-sustaining civilization on Mars would be the greatest adventure ever in human history. It would be so exciting to wake up in the morning and think that that's what's happening.
With every discovery,
Right now, we're becoming a multiplanetary species.
with every hardship, I'm worried. I don't know about this.
You had these people taking immense risks.
We were taking a step forward for humankind. We spent all this time looking for something that'll bring us all together.
Earth's surface is the shoreline of a new ocean.
Hey, you ready for this?
Are you? Here we go.
So Mission to Mars Adaptive Leadership was brought to you by DASA, which is Develor Astronautics Space Agency. And you can imagine that even before the training, it is quite engaging for people to deep dive into the story. And also this is bringing us quite a lot of opportunities for the follow-up activities where we want people to deep dive and, go into self-learning paths and continue their development. Here are some examples how we are working, for example, in case of Amundsen. But that's just our claim. I would like to brief proof, not promise. And for this reason, we have a corporate guest, which is actually one of the lover of this story and game-based education. So I would like to welcome Hanna Kamenista, who is long-term working with Develor on story and game-based learning. I'm happy that Hanna is here with us because she's representing a company called DXC. DXC Technology, it's quite new brand name, but you probably know the origin. So DXC is working on analytics engineering, application, IT infrastructure, security, and it's coming from companies like HP, Hewlett-Packard, and CSC. Why I'm happy Hanna is here? Because this target audience of IT managers and IT leaders is not always easy. So it's sometimes a little challenging to develop this target audience. And let's discuss how impactful it actually is. And I will also use the fact that we have Bartek here. So I will also like Bartek to comment on the questions. So Hanna, you are actually salesperson. So you are in business, but you love HR and you started the employee development programs in DXC and you participate many of the training. Now, imagine that you just finished the game and story-based training and you look at the teams which were participating. Like, how would you assess the impact? What was the impact on the team?
Good afternoon to everyone, and thank you for the invitation and that I can share our experience. So to your question, Martin, the first feeling is, I would say that wow, that I'm already here for 2 days with my team, and I do not feel tired because I've just reached the South Pole with my team. So probably the endorphins are working behind. And I can see my colleagues with shining eyes because they are holding the certificate because they reached the goal. So again, some hormones behind. So and it's real stuff which we can see during the trainings. And what comes to my mind is that it was really great team experience together. So we can go through the situations as Amundsen, Scott, and all these people on the Mars, for example.
Mm-hmm. So it's not only training; it's also team experience, some kind of educational team building. Yeah. Any most memorable moment?
For me, it was during the Mars, and maybe I need to describe a little bit of the situation. I was in a role play when I was forced to lie to my colleagues with in one assignment when I have some broken stuff on my space suit, and other colleagues had the same assignment, but we don't know each other what who is lying who about. And then we came to the meeting, and our task was to prepare the report for DASA and in real life for upper management. And we were sharing not all information, and the result was document where was no added value for the upper management, because everyone from us was just kind of covering his own back and not added value in the document. So and we were not able to share our mistakes maybe, and to be able to learn from them. And it clicked to me immediately after the role play that when you are hiding something or you are not transparent with the team, you are not able to find solutions in the situations where you are, or maybe to come up with better solutions for the future.
Yes, this is the exercise which starts the facilitation of the psychological safety, and it's important to drive learning organization. And it's one of the best exercises in Mission to Mars. Thank you. Bartek, same question to you. But imagine as a trainer, you just finished story and game-based training. What is the impact?
I could agree with Hannah with this wow effect and this great feeling that people are not exhausted after 1 day or 2 days because of the flow, because of the engagement during the game. I observe that they are asking for more. So could we do it again or something like that? So that's interesting point. But also, for example, in one. What I have in my mind now from last delivery in the VUCA challenge, so about these airplanes I described, there is a last exercise and last round one when they don't know what's happening because of the broken radio between the air towers and the planes. And they need to solve a puzzle who is hidden into instruction of the separate teams. So this is typical anti-silo exercise. So they need to forget about the teams and try to solve and repair the radio together. And it was also the very strong moment at the end of the training. Then when we started debrief, and they easily connected the dots, how they behave in the real life, in the company, how they are, sitting in the silo and being not interested what's happening in other departments. So they immediately, for example, planned, that was for me great example, planned the cross-department meetings to have, this kind of sometimes very basic informations, what's happening in our department and what challenges we have. So with a good implementation at the end.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. Actually, the name of this seminar is Gamification and Game Methods in Corporate Learning. But I myself see the story part of that even more important. Hanka, from your perspective, what this story brings into the development?
It makes it much more interesting. You are involved from the start to the end, and you are curious. You want to know what's the reality. You are always asking the lecturers and the trainers, so how we are doing and how it was really during the mission to Mars or with Amundsen. So you are involved really, and then I felt much more open-minded to discuss the situations, vulnerable to fail in discussions, because as you mentioned, so I'm in an environment where psychological safety is, and it's much better for me to to share the information, to feel free to fail maybe. And the story covers it. And I think Bartek already told about this during his presentation. That story helps this.
And Bartek, the same question to you, your trainer's perspective, what the story brings into the people development.
I wouldn't like to repeat myself, but I could tell you about some risks from the trainer perspective, because if you are leading the training which is based on the story, you need to know the story very well. Because in fact, I experienced, for example, delivering Amundsen, that sometimes we have people, they are very well prepared and they know more. It's very good to use it for the purpose of learning, because they share the knowledge among the participants, very interesting facts, but it needs some preparation from ourselves. So like this, but engagement, feeling, emotions, oxytocin, as I mentioned in my my speech.
And what I love, it facilitates thinking, because people start to imagine what could be possible, and we go to unlimited opportunities. For example, in case of future leadership, this space leadership is for sure, logic to be inspired, but also sport type of leadership is, we can get a lot of inspiration from there. The same from army type of leadership. Again, we can get a lot of inspiration. It simply opens people's mind how to think about the topic and, get out of the box about what could be done. Good, so that's the story. And what is the gaming bringing into the development, Hanka? And it's not game-based, but it's not gaming just, but game-based training. So what it actually brings into the development?
Again, for me, it's motivation to go to the role play for the maximum, because as Bartek said during the presentation, so I'm not embarrassed and I'm playing the role of someone else. And my goal is to get coins for the team and exchange the dogs or horses for the food. So this is what I'm solving and what I'm focused on during the training. And also all the teammates who are our colleagues, even they are not in the leader's position, they are already practicing the leader's competencies, because they need to negotiate, they need to communicate better, they need to come up with, make decisions, active decisions. So all these competencies are already trained during the session. So that's really good. And the games during your trainings are really making people busy. So they are not bored, because each person during the training has some kind of role and they are doing something. And for me, especially, I'm from technology company, and I love technologies which are behind. So that I need to work with some new applications, with Kahoot, Mentimeter, or other you are using. And it's really for us, to learn and to grow.
Thank you. Bartek, you are originally game designer. You are a huge chess player. You are coming from a country who is very successful in gaming industry. So from your perspective, you ended up in learning. How do you combine those two? So what is game-based bringing into the development, other than the hormones?
Yeah, but I think that the most important is that I love to create the games, but this is the only part of the story, because it brings fun. It should bring fun for the participants of the game, but I combine it with the training. That's why I'm here. So I'm creating that, because I'm realizing two goals. One is the fun, and the second is the learning purpose. So they know more. They could learn something. And for me, because Martin mentioned a lot of companies from the gaming industry we are working for, and for me the biggest surprise and the greatest feedback about how are the games we are creating perceived by the professionals from the gaming industry, because we did, for example, this from the CD Projekt Red. So the Witcher creators, for the managers, people, they are also in the development of the games. And at the beginning, the HR lady told us, Bartek, for us, maybe not games, but she gave me a try, so we did it, and now 3 of our games are implemented in the CD Projekt Red company as a very known, and the people like it. So that's the greatest feedback I could receive. Ending slowly my career because I'm every year older.
As we are. Thank you very much. Yes, that was a great challenge to work for the top game designers in game-based learning. Let's come back to business and to Hanka. You are actually using heavily story and game-based training in DXC across Central Europe. Why? What is the driver?
As I mentioned, so we find it as the best fit for our needs and also for our DXC values, which we have in our company. And these are collaboration and building communities. And these game-based training are really great stuff for this. And especially because we need to communicate and cooperate across our company. So we have a lot of business units, a lot of people, and the communication and collaboration is very important for our growth. So that's why we like this kind of trainings. And the typical employer of IT company are the men, and they love games, and and they. Before the training, they are telling us that they are not interested. They don't want to go for any soft skill training because they are very skilled, and in hard skills they have a lot of certification. These guys are really unique in a lot of things, and they don't want to go there. But when somehow they are there and they see what everything is happening there, they like it, and really the games are close to them. And as I said, they are obtaining other competencies which they do not think they could have.
Perfect. And can you give me some specific example how it really helped you?
I can, for example, the leadership with Amundsen. I've attended this with my team. We are supporting our client in Slovakia, a social insurance agency, and I have a really diverse team because there are females and males. So we are from graduate students to senior developers. There are solution architects, project leaders, business analysts. So really different kind of people. And when we go together with Scott and Amundsen, and we compete, it was really nice to see how people are acting in different situations. And for me it was learning that how to maybe communicate different kind of information to do on one-to-one in team meetings. So what's important. And I believe what it brings to my team and to the people that from time to time, it's hard decisions need to be taken, and they see it on the story. And I believe now they are able to accept them much more better and in better manner. So this kind of situation which I can explain.
Thank you very much. So we have 138 answers in the Mentimeter. The question was why you believe story and game-based learning is important to drive educational impact in adults' development. Here are your answers. We also saw the perspective of Roald Amundsen. And yes, I believe in corporate world, we are not just developing skills. We are forming mindset. We are opening new opportunities and horizons, and we are building great teams. More and more, we are working with the younger generation where the traditional way of learning is not bringing us the best results. And that's probably this REThink was one of the most well acknowledged, because even though we had maximum 227 participants on this call, registered was 472, and maybe those would be the people who will see the recording, which will be available on the webpage, as Marek said.